Welcome to a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda.
Good morning, everyone. If you'll please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Normally, at this point of the meeting, we have a inspirational word, but this morning we thought it would be appropriate to have a minute of quiet reflection in memory of the loss of the Columbia Township firefighter and EMT, Brett Wilson, who died over the weekend when he was trying to administer aid following a police crash and was electrocuted. So if you would please join us in a moment of silence for Brett Wilson and his family. Thank you. It's just, it's another reminder of what the people on the front lines face. And as though that wasn't tragic enough, we saw what our first responders faced yesterday in Oberlin, responding to an overdose there and this fentanyl issue. We can't stress enough how serious it is and how dangerous it is to our first responders. So, please keep all of them in your prayers as well, too. Madam Clerk, I think we'll start this morning with...
About the dog.
Oh, we have the dog. Sorry.
Good morning. This is kennel number 30.
Been quiet. Wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shepherd mix. She's about maybe 6 months old. Available today. We have 31 other dogs. Thank you.
31 dogs. We need some help.
We need help on that.
Thank you.
And our clerk is battling a cold this morning. She'll fight through it, right?
Sure.
Okay. I think we'll start first with our proclamation recognizing Sam Felton. Sam, if you'll come forward. Sam is being inducted into the Veterans Hall of Fame. You want to grab either podium there. Sam, we have a special proclamation for you here this morning in the matter of honoring you, Sam Felton Jr., for your induction in the Veterans Hall of Fame. Whereas Samuel Felton Jr., as a private first class in the United States Marine Corps, was awarded the Navy Cross for extraordinary heroism while serving as a fire team leader with Company C, 1st Battalion, 5th Marines, 1st Marine Division, Fleet Marine Force. When his battalion was attacked with resolute determination, he left the safety of his fighting hole to rescue besieged Marines who had been wounded. In the process, he was wounded by enemy fire, but pressed on in spite of it. Despite being shot, he courageously and fearlessly delivered his wounded comrades to safety and returned to battle until the enemy was driven away. Sam's heroic and selfless actions are an inspiration. Since then, Sam has consistently helped veterans and others to be positive, productive citizens in the community and remains an advocate for veterans' causes and their quality of life issues. In recognition of his post-military work by the Ohio Department of Veteran Services, Samuel L. Felton Jr. has been named to the 2019 class of the Ohio Veterans of Hall of Fame. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Lorain County Commissioners hereby honor Samuel Felton Jr. for his induction into the Ohio Veterans Hall of Fame and commend him for his undying love of country and his commitment to helping those who have served. Congratulations, Sam. Yeah, pull
There you
forward.
go.
Thank you so much. You know, I've been here in this room several times for several different causes. Sometimes the outcome wasn't what I wanted, but I still pressed on anyway. Because being from Lorain County is one of the proud things that I say whenever I travel around the country on behalf of veterans and for other causes that I fought for. And I think that for me, it's one of the proudest things that I can honestly say is, you know, for my humble efforts, I try to bring a little bit more pride to Lorain County.
I hear you.
Thank you.
Sam you and I have really got to know each other over the whole Valor Home, trying to get that up and running, and you
Yes.
just never gave up. We, kept going forward until finally it didn't, like you said, it wasn't exactly what we wanted at the beginning, and it ended up being just as good, if not better, than what we had hoped for. So I just want to thank you for your service and continuing to help veterans along the way, even till today.
Thank you, Lori. That means a lot.
And, the thing about Sam is he's so engaged in the veterans community. This is what I always say. So many of our veterans, they go and serve, and then they come home and they continue to serve their community, and they continue to serve their comrades here at home. And we can't say enough good things about you, Sam, and how proud we are of your accomplishment, and thank you for your heroism in the line of combat, too. So we know you got some supporters here in the crowd, too, who came out to join you today. I see the judge and members of the Veterans Court. So we'd like to come down and present this to you.
Thank you so much.
for everything that you do.
Thank you, Lori. Thank all of you. I truly mean it from the bottom of my heart. And I will cherish this. It means a lot to me. It really does.
Thank you for your service.
You mean a lot to our county.
Thank you so much.
On the 7th,
Okay.
yeah.
I
November
see our
7th.
prosecutor was here as well, too, Dennis Will, former Marine. Okay, let's see, we're waiting on the other recognition, but I think so at this point we'll go to our agenda.
Okay. Under Resolutions Number 1, Investments,
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
Appropriations,
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
Transfers,
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
Advances and repayments,
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
Requisitions,
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
Travel,
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
Bills,
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy.
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
Authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary sheet for employees within jurisdiction of Lorain County Commissioners.
County Administrator Jim Cordez, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Commissioner. I do have a few personnel issues I'd like to speak with the board on. Potential hiring over Job and Family Services, collection centers. Let me just look over those apps. Also have one pending legal matter and a matter of sale of real estate. And I think that's it. So
Just
Well,
a
actually,
few
we have
items.
union
Yeah,
negotiations
2
going on, and I
hours.
wasn't sure if I had anything to brief you with. So all those matters are allowable under the Sunshine Act for executive session discussion, so I'd ask at the conclusion of our regular board meeting, we go into executive sessions and we discuss those matters that I've outlined. Thank you.
Approve and waive the reading of the minutes of October 1st and 23rd.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Ms. Kowski,
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
Adjust the rate increases for Lorain Municipal Court employees effective October 14, 2019, reflecting the county's 2/5 share. Genzo Soto bailiff at a new biweekly rate of $888.68, and Bianica Valor at new bi-weekly rate of $904.97.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
Approve and ratify the changes to NOACA Section 4.2 of the Article 4 of the Code of Regulations relating to the members by population and increase numbers of voting members to 46, beginning with publication of the results of the 2020 decennial census.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, as a member of the NOACA board, this is basically making a change to the total number of voting members. There had been an issue for quite some time with the city of Cleveland picking up an additional vote. I think it's important for everybody to know that, this is part of the Metropolitan Planning Organization. The federal highway dollars funnel through there. So we have representation at the table, along with, Geauga County, Medina County, Lake, and Cuyahoga County, all 5 of those counties. But anytime there's a change in the voting membership, then it requires action by each one of the counties to recognize the change that's taking place in the overall voting membership. And it's a great group to work with. NOACA plays a very important role in our highway system and is a tremendous resource for the area.
And you're on the executive committee there, correct?
On the executive committee, yes, sir. And Jim's been down there as well, too, and
He's my alternate.
he's seen
He
all
takes
the
care of
wheels in
business for
motion.
me down
Takes
there.
care of business.
Do you think we're going to get all the counties to ratify this?
Well, the hope is that everyone will ratify. There was concern in the past with Geauga County ratifying, but, we worked on a number of projects also with Geauga County. I think there's hopefully a change of heart and that we'll be able to get full ratification.
Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
Community Development Award Contract to Gen Met Construction LLC, Lorain, in the amount of $16,978, which includes a contingency for Dave and Angela McCullough at 40099 Whitney Road, LaGrange, to receive grant assistance from CHIP Program Year 18 home repair activity.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
Under Job and Family, rescind Resolution 19691 adopted October 23rd, approving change order in the amount of $65,677 with Williams Brothers. This resolution was actually done on October 16, 2019 by Resolution 19668.
You were right, as usual.
So move.
Second.
Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
Approve and enter into various lease agreements effective retroactive to July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020 for space at 42485 North Ridge Road, Elyria, based on cost study of Maximus. JFS is 49,950 square feet for a total of $109,890 with a monthly payment of $9,157.50. CSEA is 16,375 square feet for a total of $36,025, monthly payment of $3,002.12.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
So, Mr. Cortez, on number 14 with the Maximus for JFS and CSEA, will that go up once all the renovations are done there? They'll recalculate it?
What happened was when the debt service was over on the building last year, we approached the state on renovations. We've discussed this before here, and it probably bears a quick conversation. In days gone by, usually when you were coming to the end of your bond issuance for your job and family services, you were already starting renovating another facility so you could move them, and then you gained a capital asset building. State ended that about 10, 15 years ago. So they're more inclined now to have you renovate. Clearly, you can't keep in 20 years in a building. You have to do something. So you work out an arrangement with them on how much they're willing to spend on improvements, which gets rolled back into, we bond it and we roll it back into the lease payment. It won't be, I doubt it'll be calculated in this year. We'll have to look at it. We're still in notes rather than permanent financing. And we're recapitalizing the notes, so there is really no direct cost to us right now. It all depends on the timing when we go into fixed financing. So we'll have to work with them on that, but the funds that are being used to renovate the building will be recovered enough sufficiently to pay the debt service on any borrowing we do. And we need to do the borrowing because if we pay for it in cash, we don't get reimbursed.
Yeah.
So we definitely need to do the borrowing.
I did speak to a couple of the union leadership at Sheriff Brown's spaghetti dinner and asked them how they like some of the renovations going on over there, and they're all very pleased, so.
Yeah, everybody's excited.
Well, it's going to significantly enhance the work experience there, and the building will look better. It never looked good from, well, we've talked about this. There was a lot of issues from the onset. And I think there's a few more enhancements that we can make. We're going to be looking at a housekeeping. I thought it was going to be on today, but Madam Clerk, is that going to be on next week with those change orders for Job Family Services?
We already did them,
Oh, you already did?
and we just rescinded one that we did last week that
Must have
was
missed it.
redundant.
Yeah. Oh, it's right there. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But as an explanation on that, we were so busy cobbling everything together
Yeah.
that we did one big change order, and then we found that other one, and we got confused on it. So,
Okay.
in effect, we've actually done $40,000 less in the change orders than we thought we were going to need. We had too much paperwork going on back there.
Yes, we do.
But thank you for your understanding on that.
And
I'm
it's
hopeful-
looking good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm hopeful, and then maybe we can do another walkthrough over there like we did the last time. That seemed to have gone over rather well. So when it's all said and done, we should do that. And we definitely do have to look at the signage though again out there.
For
I'm
sure.
still trying to figure out how to put a darn sign out there when it can't be any bigger than this, because that's the roadway and the parking lot is so close out there. It's we may have to get some kind of variance or do something. There's not a lot of room for good road signage out there to catch people's attention.
Are you including building signage also?
Well, the building signage is a little bit more difficult. It's way back off the
Right,
road.
that's far
and-
back.
Right. So we just got to figure some solution out because people get confused coming and going over there.
Yeah, there's a lot of-
to be on and workforce development.
Yeah.
Of course, with Jobs Ohio, where there's only a certain amount of signage that they got to have their branding on, so it gets a little bit complicated. But we may not get to the signage until the spring, but we're still working on it.
Good.
Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Sueda?
Aye.
Madam Clerk, we're going to move to our next proclamation at this point. This is in recognition of Earl Mall celebrating his 100th birthday.
So we have a special guest here this morning, and one of the things I've shared in this room before is that this year has been a celebration for many organizations that were formed 100 years ago. And through my research, I tried to determine exactly what was going on, and there was something important that I may have missed. It seems that 100 years ago, on November 3rd, Mr. Earl Mall was born. He was born to the parents Ben and Mary. Oh, Mr. Mall, could we have Mr. Mall come forward to the microphone while we present?
Family, come on up. Very good, okay.
Very good. So Mr. Mall was a 1937 Elyria High School graduate. He excelled at sports, playing baseball, football for 4 years on the Elyria High football team, and later he coached Little League East baseball for many years. He's touched many lives. He and his wife, Martha, had 8 children who live almost all throughout the world. And he and Martha, during their marriage, loved to travel, and they were active. Earl was a World War II veteran. He served in the China-Burma India Theater and was one of the 2 American infantry combat units that served on the mainland of Asia in World War II. Earl's children have established a scholarship for him at Elyria Catholic High School, honoring their parents and enabling students to attend Elyria Catholic. Earl was instrumental in building a new snack shack at EC Football Field and called bingo every month for 43 years. I believe I worked in that shack and helped with those bingos. Whereas Earl began as a mail carrier for the United States Post Office, where he ultimately retired as assistant postmaster after 40 years. Earl was a renowned walker, and he earned the nickname Walking Man from the students at Eastern Heights Middle School for his daily jaunts through the neighborhood. So let it be resolved that the Lorain County Board of Commissioners hereby honor Earl Mall in celebrating 100 years of an indomitable spirit matched by few but noticed by all. And we wish him many more years of health and happiness. And I know that there is a birthday party planned for Saturday at the Transportation Center. So if anybody'd like to make any comments, and then we'll come down and get a picture.
Is that it all?
Okay. Well, we would like to come down then. Thank you for all you have done. You have.
Hopefully you all have his teeth. You blessed others. Whoa, that's an honor.
Get better pictures. I'm sure I know. For 3 months, we lived for airdrop.
We should.
With the microphone?
We're going to get the microphone and have you share that with us.
Or whatever you'd like to share. How do you turn it on?
At the bottom. Just press the button.
Here's the hall.
Okay.
He was the.
Yep.
Are you gonna tell us
Just
your
press it.
secrets for your long
Leave it in
life?
for a minute, and then the light should come on.
Walking and the activities and.
Is there any words you'd like to say this morning?
Well, I just say mostly I'm lucky to be alive. Get through World War II, and a lot of people don't know. In World War II, I was in special forces. I was a mule skinner in the jungles and the mountains of Burma.
Yes, we know, but we can't. The mic went out.
We lived for 3 months. Well, it's nothing to airplanes dropping supplies to us. So I'm lucky to be alive, that's all.
Thank you. We're lucky you are alive. You're welcome. Thank you for being here.
Workforce development.
Item number 15.
Approve and enter a lease agreement effective retroactive July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020 for space at 42495 North Ridge Road, Elyria, based on the cost study of Maximus in the amount of $28,413 and the monthly payment of $2,367.75.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Sueda?
Aye.
Children's Services authorize various personnel to utilize the agency's MasterCard for the year 2019, not to exceed $2,500 for permissible expenses in accordance with policy.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Sueda?
Aye.
Engineer, advertise for bids for Whitney Road Bridge 0291, design-built replacement project, Pittsfield Township. Notice to be in the Chronicle November 1st and 8th, and open at 2 p.m. on November 19th.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Sueda?
Aye.
Approve and enter an emergency contract with Fabrizi Trucking and Paving in the amount of $6,509.94 to provide emergency waterline repair at intersection of Broadway and East 39th Street, Sheffield Township.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Sueda?
Aye.
Advertise for bids for various highway department materials. Notice to be in the Chronicle November 8th and 15th, and open at 2 p.m. on November 22nd.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Sueda?
Aye.
Under the Sheriff, approve the 2020 open dump enforcement agreement with the sheriff at a cost not to exceed $212,032.14.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Sueda?
Aye.
Do you want to do the,
I think we're a minute early. Should we do public comment first?
that's fine.
Yeah, we'll do public comment.
Public
Anyone
comment?
wishing to address the board this morning? Yes, good morning. You can grab either
This side.
podium. We do have a 3-minute time period for public comment. If you'll just state your name and residency, please.
Good morning. I'm Marvin Fannin. I'm a resident of Lorain County and specifically Camden Township. And I want you all to know that I appreciate all that you're doing, except I do take exception to your efforts for building inspections in the township. I go back to when we had a regional planning commission. Richard McGinnis was a friend of mine, and he did kind of step aside where building inspections were concerned for the township. So there's something that I'm missing about the need for this, partly from a little different standpoint than the letters to the editors that are coming in from personal experience. And I have a background in housing in Hartford, Connecticut, and the Boston area, and kind of moved out here to be free of a lot of the bureaucracy, and have built my own home and experimented in some respects with solar energy, and some of these matters are going to get kind of set aside, and we're coming to a period where, acknowledged or not, we have climate change, and we have ordinary building inspections may approve housing, but we have subdivisions where every house is identical and shaped, oriented different way, and not taking into consideration its placement on the lot with the sun and so forth. And I think it's something that may come back to bite us some years down the pike. Anyway, I wouldn't have been able to do what I did with my house if we had building inspections. And I know I could have gone to the bank and got a loan for a 30-year mortgage, which I didn't want. And I hope it's not something that comes back and bites the commissioners in the end. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Others wishing to make public comment this morning? Yes, good morning. If you'll just choose either podium. And you have 3 minutes.
Teresa Shea, 519 East Avenue, Elyria, to the commissioners and elected and appointed officials. This will be the 4th fall I have come here and asked for a full bus system. I was shocked recently when reading a letter to an editor complaining about a decision about something that pertained to them and you, the commissioners. To make their point, they made a cruel reference to all the empty buses that drive around. I guess they thought they would hurt your feelings, but they hurt my feelings, not yours. I thought, of course, they are empty, and this man thought you would be upset. When a shadow of a system exists, it looks like a waste of money, but you have a phantom system on display. There are no bus stops marked, and they run every 2 hours. Transportation, shelter, and food are all necessities, and the lack of a full, proper bus system is like starving people. I now have entire families that walk down my street on a regular basis. I hear all this noise. It's an entire family These people don't have any transportation. Between the noises of the families, of their children, and parents walking in groups for a far location are regular people. A woman my age I know, who used to work in a charitable organization, she made a mistake in paperwork and got demoted, and they cut her to minimum wage, and she ended up working in Avon. Her vehicle is like my vehicle. Of course, it eventually blew up. She lost her job, and now she has no transportation. She doesn't have any money to buy a new car or she rents a room. So that's her years of service. That's what she gets. When her car hit the bus, it was old and unfixable. She lost her job in Avon because she had no way to get there. I told her I was coming here today to ask for buses, and I would tell you, the commissioners, about her. And she had 2 large backpacks. She probably weighs 102 pounds to carry her purchased food from the drugstore, which is also very expensive. You have deserted what could be called the poor, but I believe underprivileged is better, perhaps. A professionally designed bus system, affordable to those who need it, will rebuild our county, our individuals, our economy, and our families. Marked bus stops, a reasonable schedule, and your already good buses and drivers will lend hope to our futures and stop the behaviors that cause, I don't know what I wrote. I didn't have any coffee. I'm sorry. But basically, it's the same thing I always say. I always try to find a different way, and I would not come back unless I had met this woman again and seen what had happened to her. And you should see the faces on people when I tell them I'm going to come here and tell them their story. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to ask you for buses. It gives them hope, and they don't feel like they're so boxed in. I did give her a ride, but I think that next time you're walking in the rain or have to walk an extra block, think about the people who have to walk miles. And I don't think you have any idea what that feels like. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the board this morning under public comment? No? Okay. I guess at this point, Madam Clerk, could we move to the public hearing?
The first public hearing is on the erosion and sediment control regulations. And then there's a clipboard that'll go around. We'll also have once we close that, we'll also open it back up to do the public hearing on the post-construction rules comprehensive stormwater management.
Okay, yeah,
So
since
if you
these are...
guys can please sign the clipboards that are going around. Thank
Yeah,
you.
exactly. Yeah, if you'll sign those, since these are public hearings, we need a record of all those in attendance. Don Romanchik with our Community Development Department. Don?
Good morning, Board, and thank you for having us here again this morning. Since our last public meeting 2 weeks ago, we have not received any comments or feedback from the public. I just actually double-checked my emails before we started. So with that being said, the one question, and I want to remind this for everyone with this, is that we're looking at maintaining the minimum requirements. These are mandates from Ohio EPA that's actually passed on from the federal government in the Clean Water Act. We're required to have these regulations to stay in compliance with our National Pollution Discharge Elimination System permit. And we also, through the board, we administer this throughout all of the unincorporated areas of the county, as well as South Amherst Village as a co-permittee for our stormwater district. So, and with that being said, these are regulations that then we strive to enforce on not only our own behalf, but also for our co-permittees, and then also to be able to maintain it in a financially neutral way. So, with that being said and us keeping to the minimum, we are recommending that we would basically use $30 an hour as our charge, and then we have incorporated that hourly charge into fee rates for both plan reviews and then the permit inspections. In addition, we do have, following best practices recommended, an escalation policy for noncompliance, so that if we go into notices of violation, that requires additional inspections. And so we're recommending that we have a cost of $50 on a second notice of violation and $100 for a stop work order inspection. And that is really all there is, unless there are some questions that you have that you need me to answer. We are continuing to go forward with the contractor registration program as well to make sure, and we've identified, again, 2 alternates besides in-house training from our staff that people can go to, and we are going to be reaching out to the Northeast Ohio Stormwater Training Council for an online option as well.
Good.
Okay. So no additional comments have been received.
No.
And once again, I can't stress enough, these are the minimum standards.
Correct.
Okay. Any other comments? No? Do we need to close?
You have to ask for public comment.
Public comment?
Sure. Anyone wishing to address the board on this matter? Public comment? Okay. Seeing none,
Close the hearing.
I would move that we close the hearing.
I'll second.
Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Sueda?
Aye.
And then,
We're going to approve the updated Lorain County erosion and sediment control regulations to maintain compliance with the Ohio EPA current MPDES.
okay, and I'll make the motion to do that.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Ms. Kowski?
Aye.
Ms. Sueda?
Aye.
Just adopt the new fees.
There's minor changes in the wording of the regulation, such as a
What about-
registration.
it does adopt a new fee schedule?
Yes.
Just for clarification purposes, the fees are actual cost. There's
Right.
no-
Right.
You can see some of them were wholly deficient in being able to
He
perform
keeps
the
saying
duty.
microphone.
What's that?
He says he can't hear you back there.
Well, I got the microphone right here, I'll swallow it up.
I know.
I suggest we gain these up again, so somehow they've
No,
been gained.
when we first came in here, it was super loud, so they probably turned it down. Now you have to speak a little closer. There you go.
We gotta get this right.
I know,
I'm not known for being told to speak up.
I know.
Yeah, that's true.
So, we'll do the sound checks a little earlier. But that said, I want people to understand that these are the costs that we're experiencing for these type of inspections. And we were augmenting a lot of this from the stormwater fees that everybody pays, and that limited the amount of projects we could do. And a lot of this work was being done for developers and contractors that should really be footing their own bill.
Correct.
And shouldn't be basically being
Subsidized.
excuse me?
Subsidized?
By that stormwater fee so we can do more drainage issues and flooding issues in Lorain County. So this does not increase fees to the homeowners within the community. That's already done with the stormwater fee. It just wasn't a fair solution to keep supplementing these new schedules here for people that were doing development work.
Right. It's good work.
Yeah, thank you.
And then we have the second public hearing.
The second public hearing on the post-construction rules comprehensive stormwater management.
Okay. Want to update us on that, Tom?
It's going to sound very similar.
Okay.
I do have Peter Zwick from the county engineer's office here.
We've seen him before.
County engineer actually performs the plan review services and the inspections, and then works very closely with us on development and implementation of the inspection and maintenance agreements to ensure that our stormwater control measures are going to be properly maintained and that we have the ability to actually go in and correct them and assess the local property owners or the developments if they were to fail and we had to do a correction. Similar, we're pretty much doing the minimum. The one change here was for, the example was a Dollar General, where if you're adding 10,000 square feet of impervious surface, so if you're just grading, no problem. If you're doing a small addition to your house, it wouldn't trigger it. But for some of these commercial projects like a Dollar General or something, they can fit these on less than an acre, which wouldn't, you have to follow the regulation, but there's no permit, there's no plan review, and there's no enforcement mechanisms that are readily obtainable to us. So with that, I have made Peter's job a little more complicated, and he's thankful for it. But similarly, we are changing our fee structure. We're using cost recovery basis along the same lines. And we find that because we're able to do it in-house, we're somewhere anywhere from 20 to about 50% lower than other communities that are working on a cost recovery basis. We did take a look at KEM, who's our consultant engineer, and they do these plan reviews for many communities. And we find that we're at a minimum 20% less than if we had KEM doing it ourselves. So Peter's a good value besides the good work he does.
With all the increase in development, is there a backlog? Are we able to keep up with everything?
We are keeping up. The engineer's office did bring in Kathy Becker. She works part-time. I don't know if Peter would need to address that any further, but she works half-days and has been a huge help to both Peter and the Stormwater District, as well as the development community, to allow us to turn over these quicker by fully recovering our costs, or to the best of our ability recovering these costs. We'll ensure that we have the financial capability again to be able to keep up with the work as it comes in. And I can say, Peter and I were actually just talking, we have 2 more plan reviews he has coming up that'll probably be impacted by these new regulations.
Okay. And I think we discussed this at the last meeting concerning if the plans come back for a second review, because the concern is we don't necessarily want to be the folks who do all the homework for everybody.
Yeah, we try not to be the design engineer.
Right.
Now, with that being said, it's not, and especially on the comprehensive stormwater management side, it's not unusual to have to tweak some things because each site is unique, and sometimes cookie cutter is done onto a property, and so you may miss something. And also, the regulations are designed that you need to meet certain circumstances, but it's not a mandate of how you do it. There are different options. So each engineer has the ability to use their expertise, their knowledge, and the site to actually come into compliance. So it's not like thou shalt build a basin of this size. It's you can build a basin, you can do many other things to help manage and control your stormwater, and it's up to each individual site. With that being said, we are looking similarly to allow for a couple of back and forths, but we would not be designing it. So I believe here as well, we were looking at kind of 2 sets of comments in return. And then if they're not, then we would be looking at an additional fee for plan review.
Good.
Okay. And once again, kind of minimum standards, and we're
It
covering
is
our
the minimum
costs,
standards. We're recapturing our
right.
costs. As I said, the one change from the minimum standard, it is this 10,000 square foot or more of impervious surface being added, which really would impact more commercial. There aren't too many people doing 10,000 square foot additions.
Right. Yeah. Well, I just stress all the time, we're in government. We're not profit driven like
No.
the private sector, but we do have to cover our cost.
So that's what we're doing. And again, we'll be back in 5 years to readdress anything that changes that are continuing to be made. These regulations on both sides are getting more and more complex. They are getting more and more stringent, and they're going to be applying to more and more areas as well. So we're just trying to keep up with it and maintain our cost structure.
We're just basically applying what's set forth by the
Correct.
state and the feds and everybody above us.
Yeah, they know how to tell us what to do.
Exactly.
And as their standards change, ours will follow suit automatically, or we have to keep coming back?
We have to keep coming back, but it also gives us that opportunity to revisit our cost schedules, which is probably where most of our changes really take place, unless there's a major overhaul. And again, we have, in the time I've been here, we have gotten much better, both through the county as well as our partners in enforcing the rules and being much more efficient in getting them implemented. And now we're actually going to be, I think, on a neutral cost basis as well for the first time, which will be great for everybody. And should, as Mr. Cordes stated, allow the Stormwater District to have the ability to do some projects, either through the district board or all of the other things that we actually do, such as log jam removals and a lot of services people don't recognize, flood complaints and just investigations.
Yeah, there's a lot of need out there.
We work very closely with township trustees.
Yes.
Just always like to point that out. Some people like to paint this false picture that we don't work with our township officials when we do. So we work closely with them through the Stormwater Advisory.
Yesterday, Don and I met with representatives of North Ridgeville. We have a significant draining issue on the south side of North Ridgeville that goes into Eaton Township that they would like us to clear up because it's flooding way up into North Ridgeville. But the problem is a lot of the water's coming from Cuyahoga County.
Oh.
And
Across
into Eaton Township.
jurisdictions.
So you got a city, you got Cuyahoga Falls, Cuyahoga Township.
Homestead.
Falls. Cuyahoga. Homestead Falls, Homestead Township. And then this particular ditch wraps around and comes back into North Ridgeville. So anywhere, as we explained to them, we can clean up some areas to the south that they're asking us to clean. That's just gonna put the water someplace else. You need a full scope look at what you're going to do. And yesterday's meeting presented us with some questions that we need to get from our Stormwater Council, District Council, because we don't know what to do if part of the drainage in the watershed area, the drainage area falls into not only North Ridgeville, or we're speaking with them, but into Cuyahoga County, because everybody that benefits from the improvement is supposed to pay for the improvement. So how willing they are, plus it gets a little even more complicated than that because Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer is handling their stormwater issues over there. And there's, to the best of my knowledge, parts of Columbia Township we have in Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer, and we work with them because they're the sewering, we have sewer agreements with them, but we don't have any down in Eaton Township. So people just look at it as it's a ditch, it's got water in it, or they're building something on some land and they got to drain it. It gets crazy. And as I told North Ridgeville, if this works like a lot of these things with all these multiple jurisdictions, this could take 2 or 3 years just to even begin having a conversation about who's going to pay for their share of a project. Because clearly we can't charge all the residents along that ditch in Eaton Township that the ditch needs to be repaired without charging everybody that's benefiting from that repair.
Well, we have a situation in Wellington, or Vermillion, with the Mapleview ditch, with part of it in the township, part of it in the city, so.
We have a willing partner there.
Right.
And
That's what it's gonna take.
All of it still is within Lorain.
Right.
Lorain County at least, so it just hadn't gone into Erie County over there.
Well, you nailed it when you said if we can get willing partners over there, and if they see a benefit, maybe they would be willing to come to the table.
Yeah, the unfortunate part is that the water coming out of Cuyahoga doesn't seem to be causing them a problem further east. It's just causing us a problem at a choke point on the North Ridgeville border. And it takes forever to work through all these seemingly simple things. But I'd like to add one thing. I was going to wait down to my comments. The Stormwater District was formed now probably about 10 years ago.
We're nearing our 10th year anniversary.
And we took, I think you, Lori, you're the only one here, and I was here. Don, were you when we first formed this? think Rod
The
Farmer
legislation
did,
that formed it, I think, beat me by a couple of weeks, but I was here for the first collection and all of the
Meetings,
the
all the
concerns over the fees and the paying of the
I think
fees.
that's why I told you, take the worst of the worst critics and put them on the SWAC board, we'll deal with it.
Yes, I was
"What,
there
you
for that.
crazy?" I said, no, you gotta convert the people that are most against what you're doing, and, you know, Stormwater District has been a resounding success. The SWAC advisory board is really grown into something to be very, very proud of. And we do a lot of important work. Even myself, who has a very, very advanced look on where things will be, I've been surprised with the advancements, how quickly we made them in the Stormwater District. But let me point out that there was more pushback on the Stormwater District because it affected every resident in the unincorporated area than there has been on the building department. And we stood into that. And 10 years later, we have something
Very
hugely
proud.
significant to be proud of, and the work that we're doing, the work that needed doing for 50 years.
That nobody wanted to take on.
Nobody wanted to take it on whatsoever. People talked about it, and occasionally there was some money put into some spotty
Soil
work here
and
and
water.
there. Spotty work here and there. But we have huge accomplishments, and we continue to layer on those accomplishments, and you know, we're getting there. We're making a difference. So
I still want big posters of Our Lady of the Wayside, what we've, before and after of what we did in there. That is remarkable. That's like,
not to mention
everybody
that
needs to see that.
without the district, it's unlikely that we would have brought back millions in federal dollars for different grants we received to do different restoration projects. The list goes on. So sometimes things that are unpopular right now have a huge, huge impact on your community years from now.
Correct.
At least Lori, you were one of the founding people here, and of course, you, Matt Lundy, and I'm sure Commissioner Sweeter will continue to support that. Matt has for the last 5 years, 6 years. But if you had not supported that vision 10 years ago, most of all the flooding that's been impacting this community would be even worse now than it was.
Yeah, because the rains are even worse now than they were 10 years ago. They seem to be getting heavier and heavier.
But I do remember the beatings, and the verbal and the
Letters to the
resolutions,
editor.
and we don't need this, and how can you charge us this, and every resident's going to pay what? And it was, at that time, I think it was about $18 a year, and it was very, very difficult. So sometimes you have to stay the course in the face of adversity.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
Nice job.
Thank you. Couldn't
Thank
do
you.
it without all the partners and your leadership, so much appreciated. It makes it much easier. So
Good.
Thanks.
have a
It's
good day.
Thank
been
you,
doing
Don.
good work, very good work. Public comment at this point for the public hearing?
Nope.
Okay, seeing none, I would move that we close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
Approve the updated Lorain County Comprehensive Stormwater Management Regulations and maintain compliance with Ohio EPA with the NPDES.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
Okay. We are to Mr. Cortez.
Well, I hope you feel better, Madam Clerk.
Well, thank you.
You're making me feel bad.
made it through.
Sound over
Sorry.
there. It's not fun being under the weather this time of year before this real season really starts. Once again, I won't repeat, but I will echo that's lots of times unpopular decisions need to be made to turn around things and get positive outcomes. Everybody has a similar capacity in life. We all possess one thing all the same, everybody does, and that's the ability to do absolutely nothing. Okay?
That's good.
People, but only a few people possess the ability to do some things, especially the hard things.
Yeah.
Okay? So if you want to be one of everybody, do nothing. If you want to be somebody that makes a difference, do something. With that, I'll end my comments this morning.
That's
Thank you.
good.
Mr. Ennis.
I do have a couple matters of pending litigation to discuss in executive session. And Mr. Felton and Mr. Mall left, but I would just, I'm a big history buff, so I just really get a thrill. Is that too much that thrills me at my age? to meet.
We're having hot dogs today, Jerry.
Really, to truly meet true heroes that served our country, like Sam Felton and Earl Mall, is a thrill and it's a privilege, and we really do owe a great debt and gratitude to these people.
Absolutely. Yes. I concur.
You're having hot dogs. I know how you love hot dogs. Look at that smile over here.
Commissioners report.
Well, last Thursday, all three commissioners attended Lakata's Pearls of Wisdom fundraiser. It was quite the event. They had a display of artwork that the high school students drew after watching a movie called Chasing the Dragon. The art that these young people were inspired to create was very heart-wrenching. The keynote speaker was Tom Arnold, and he had a very compelling story. He's been in and out of recovery for a very long time, and I'm sure some of the people were shocked by some of the things that he said, but he kept it real and he told his story his own way. Saturday, we had our first open house at our 911 center, and I know it was already reported on, but I just want to thank all the staff that worked so hard to put that all together and make it the success that it was. It was raining all day, but it didn't show on the faces of the staff who helped to serve the residents who came out to see our state-of-the-art facility. And everyone that I spoke to were very impressed to see their tax dollars at work. Sunday was pasta with Sherrod Brown, and as always, Labor does a great job cooking for the event, and he had a good turnout as always. And then yesterday, we got to see our emergency management in action when a suspicious car in a Walmart parking lot exposed officers to fentanyl. The driver had to be taken to Metro due to the exposure, and luckily our crime lab is available to do emergency testing to see what the first responders were dealing with. We live in a very different world with synthetic drugs that a minuscule amount can be fatal. And all the more reason why issue 19 for our crime lab is so very, very important. So hopefully, if you haven't voted yet, we have until next Tuesday, get out to vote and vote for issue 19 for our crime lab. Small price to pay to give the tools the officers need to stay safe. And that's the end of my report.
Yes. And just like to add to that, I had a chance to talk with Tom Kelly this morning, our emergency management director, and all the resources were quickly mobilized. We do a lot of drills and testing to prepare for events like this. It's we go through life, I think most of us individually, and I'm guilty of it too. You always think, well, it's never going to happen to me, right? And then all of a sudden it does, or it's not going to happen here, and all of a sudden it does. But our first responders do a lot of preparation work, getting ready for events like this, and definitely all the wheels went into motion the other day, and thank goodness it wasn't any more serious than it was. It was serious enough. But as you pointed out, Lori, the crime lab plays a major role. Used to be a day and time where the first responders could actually test drugs in the field. Not doing that anymore. Nope. And the emergency crews, when they go out to help somebody who's unconscious, they really got to suit up. They don't know what they're dealing with anymore. And yesterday was an example of how quickly a situation can turn terribly bad. So, yes, we certainly hope the community sees the importance of supporting our first responders and supporting Crime Lab as well, too. Now, congratulations goes out to Dan Telerik, Mike Lotko, and Forrest Bullocks. They were all recognized recently for their years of public service, recognized by the Elyria Democratic Party. Also had the opportunity to attend the Lakata dinner, where Tom Arnold was the speaker. Certainly an interesting story to tell. We've all seen him on TV as a comedian, and he makes us laugh. But you also find out he's had such a disturbing life, being abused as a child, and dealing with his demons of alcoholism, which he says he's overcome. But then, as a result of a motorcycle accident, liked his pain medication quite well and relapsed. So, and we stress it over and over again that addiction is it's a brain disorder, and it has to be treated that way. It's not something where you flip a switch, pull up your big boy pants, as some people say, and stop partying and change your life and all that nonsense. It is an illness, and it's something that people in the addiction community face each and every day. They battle an addiction their whole life. It doesn't go away. And so an interesting story by him, and an amazing turnout there. Thank you to everyone who came out for the 911 open house. That's your 911 center, paid for by taxpayer dollars, the latest technology. I know we had a regional person come in who's familiar with 911 systems and was totally blown away by the operation. And we want it there. We want the best system possible so that we can quickly respond to the needs in the community and hopefully save loved ones and your families should those situations arise. Once again, I can't thank our county administrator enough, Jim Cortez, for the endless hours. I'm surprised you have any hair left on your head after going through that project. You get into technology, it's always amazing. You hear, yeah, everything's talking. It's just not quite talking to each other.
And it didn't talk to each other for a while. That was the problem.
Right.
Everything was working independently just fine, but the integration was which it should have been simple, turned into one of the most complex undertakings that we have done. But we got there, which we always do.
Awesome.
The
Brick and mortar is one thing, right? We can do brick and mortar.
do brick and mortar well, but
Yeah.
what the magic of what that stuff does is mystifying.
It's
at times.
above our pay grade.
But also, if I may echo something on top of your comments, Commissioner, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but your staff who planned
Yes.
this whole event,
Yes.
my right-hand person, Sandy Strozak.
She was
and her
grilling,
team.
she was
There
out
a
there
whole bunch-
grilling and everything.
There was a whole bunch of folks out there, Tracy and her team over at 911. Everybody made a very successful event. I was surprised how many folks from the public turned out in the bad weather we had. And your folks, everybody from up here,
Yep.
I'm not going to name everybody, but they were out there in the rain, serving hot dogs and beans and cooking things and just
Giving
with a big
tours.
smile and having fun with the public. And of course, you guys were doing the greet and meet, and then we had the tours going through, and our employees, even the ones working the console, were just having a great time meeting the public. And
they were very busy that day. It was a busy call volume day, and you couldn't even tell by.
But they made it look easy.
They did make it look easy.
They sure did, and it was good to have the public come in and touch
Witness it.
something and put their hands on it and look at it and be a little bit in awe of what we've done down there. And I will add, most people don't realize how cost effectively we did it with the building and the partnerships we built, and how we kept at least the brick and mortar. The equipment cost is the equipment cost, but the brick and mortar and the renovations of a building that had previously been empty for 4 plus years. We were able to turn that around, put it into productive use in Lorain County, and put another asset back into the community. And that goes for the building next to it, the DTF building also, that we've significantly improved right there on the corner going into a wonderful college out there. So I wanted to, again, thanks to all of our staff members who made the event a great day for everybody, because they worked really hard in the rain.
Yeah, the only negative, it was just a question, why is there no sprinkler systems or compression? And I'm like, can you imagine the sprinkler systems going off over all that equipment? Like
you've hit the nail firmly where it belongs. The last thing you want, in case you have a minor issue in the building,
Right.
sprinklers going off anywhere with all that equipment, it will all be ruined
Yeah,
immediately.
exactly.
So if you have a small issue in a particular office or someplace else, it's impossible to zone that minutely a sprinkler system and make it anywhere near effective.
Right.
So no, that's not the type of building that you want. There is a tornado shelter, and
Right.
you see how big that building is. It's more than adequate exiting ability from that building. But I won't say it'll never happen, but even in our older, I go back when 911 was in a cubbyhole before the first expansion of it. That really disastrous build on the back of Gates was an extension that was put on. There used to be a real little corner over there. That building was inadequate the day it opened. The day it was on the designing board, they should be ashamed of themselves, because even in the design phase, it was an inadequate facility to take this county where it needs to. We have built a facility for the next 50 years.
Right.
The one that they did and I had to finish it up when I came back as the administrator, was inadequate the day it opened. And that's what's wrong with not looking
Forward.
long-term on what the needs are. Your needs today are not going to be your needs 30 to 50 years from now, and we need to look out past what we're doing today.
Like we did with the courthouse, and now we see we may be needing that third floor in the near
We
future.
added the fifth floor that's still not used for future growth of the county. We put the additional money into the courthouse and we actually built a third floor, it didn't have one, at a significant cost that we weren't too criticized for, but it drove up the cost of that project. And what's happened, now all of a sudden the state's not doing the probation anymore. We're gaining a ton of new people. We're talking hundreds of people that we have to be responsible for. And, thank God, when I came to you and said, this is what it's going to cost, you guys went, what? But we also told you that if you didn't put it in then,
You can't
if
do
you
it
needed
later.
you're going to have to rip out the renovations you were doing to put that third floor in. So you took a leap of faith on that. Now, I did not think we were going to use that for a couple of years. Lo and behold, a year and a half later, the state makes some changes that now we have to house a ton of additional people, and we wouldn't have been able to do it there, which meant security at another building, doubling up our security,
Right.
splitting out the department, and ever-increasing huge cost. So, again, it's that look forward, it's that planning and having a purpose of where we want to be, not just today, but 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road.
Right.
Sorry, Commissioner, I didn't mean to
Oh,
get
no.
That's good
No.
stuff.
That's all good information.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that we can't make these special events possible without the support of our staff. And I know when I first came here as a newly elected commissioner, I was just so impressed by our hardworking staff and all the folks here. And I know it's popular in today's society to bash government workers and government employees. And I've got to tell you, my personal experience working with the city of Elyria, my personal experience being down in Columbus, my personal experience here is you've got such dedicated people. Believe me, they're not doing it for the money. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah.
But we don't pay a lot around here. But they do it because they want to serve, and they enjoy the work environment. They enjoy seeing the smiles on the faces when the people come out to our community events. And it was a rough day on Saturday. The wind's blowing, the rain's blowing, the Ohio State game's going on. We know we're competing against that.
With it, though.
I was keeping up with the game.
He kept us all alert.
But just very dedicated. I can't thank our whole staff enough. And like you said, people weren't there with frowns and miserable. They were there with smiles and and greeting the community. And just can't thank everybody enough. So we've got a lot of good, dedicated government employees here. Enjoyed the bagel brunch on Sunday in Lorain. That's always one of my favorite events each year. And in relationship to the building department, the biggest reason that I know that I did it, and I believe this board shares the views that we wanted to protect consumers, whether you're building a home, whether you're renovating a home, so you don't end up with shoddy work, and you don't have a safety issue for your family with your house catching fire in the middle of the night. And you want to protect your investment. It is an investment. I don't think anybody ever buys a home thinking, boy, I hope I lose money in 10 or 12 years. So it is an investment. And on the busing front, we continue to look for ways to help with that. I saw the story in the paper today as though that was some big new pot of money for transportation. Maybe you want to clear that up.
Well, it's not a new pot of money, and it varies depending on a very specific formula used by the state. It ebbs and flows. I'm hopeful because the local community has not been as supportive of transit as we need them to be. And that doesn't mean they won't be one day in the future, but the current trend is not to be supportive of it. But the state also has to make a turn.
Absolutely.
We're at the bottom percentiles as a state of returning monies to the community to support public transportation. While I'm grateful for every dollar we receive, because state dollars, and I need to speak to that, can also be used to match federal dollars. So when we get state dollars, our allocation, then we match that to potential federal allocations, and we use a multiplier on that to bring more money back to our system in the community. So it may be and it may be a system that is humble, but it's still costing millions of dollars to run it, and it takes a lot of money to roll stock. And we've also, I believe I saw it come across my desk, but I have not done a deep dive on it. I think we've been approved for some capital money for some new buses. But the no community that I'm aware of has any decent public transportation system without a dedicated revenue stream. And some of them have a dedicated revenue stream, and they still struggle to be able to produce services within their community.
Yeah.
Without a dedicated revenue stream, you're going to have this spotty, cobbled together system that you try to make as much sense of as you can to put it in specific areas. We put this together. We got a contract from Job and Family Services. That contract pays us a couple $100,000 a year for use for dollar ride services and et cetera. That's another pool of money
To
that
match.
is federal, but it's one of the few pools of federal money
To match.
that can be used to match other federal money. So with that contract, I'm able to take that to the federal government and say, hey, let's match this and bring in more. So if we do $250,000 through our Job and Family Services Center, we have $500,000 in transit, maybe more depending on which match, whether it comes on maintenance or operational cost. So we have the same thing with Metro Housing. Metro Housing has funds they can use. So we run some very limited loops a couple times a month that are open to everybody. And the Metro Housing money can be amplified and bring in and get some more service. So we're always looking.
We just had Terry Stone from the Veteran Services come in to talk about a similar type of an arrangement.
Right, as long as it's not fare box.
Right.
As long as it's a different way and we can usually amplify those monies. I'm always looking for those federal monies that can match federal monies. ODOT's money usually comes through federal too, but that money's still money that's able to match additional federal dollars. So we have cobbled together very unique relationships, and not to mention the direct community ones like Oberlin, who actually Oberlin is committed to their transportation downtown. They actually pay from their general fund, and we get matched dollars for that. And they pretty much design what they want to see
Right.
in downtown Oberlin with the buses. We have the ability to do that with any community. We have those capabilities to amplify the local dollars from those communities and get them better service. But to date, not a lot of people, very few, have come in. We've had the discussion with lots of communities. We just haven't seen the results.
Correct.
Yeah, as I've said before, I know that, we care deeply about the community. We'd love to see people be able to get to work, be able to get to the store, but you have to be able to pay for everything. Shame on the state of Ohio, and those who advocate for transportation need to strongly take their argument to Columbus. I think we're in the bottom 5 states when it comes to funding transit. ODOT receives about $7.5 billion for transportation budget every 2 years. I think for transit normally it was somewhere in the area of $30 million. I think they may have upped it under DeWine up to maybe a little bit over $50 million. That's pocket change when you compare it to $7.5 billion. So, we have to be able to pay for things, and it's certainly not a lack of caring or interest. It's just a lack of funding that creates the issue. That completes my report.
Let's see. Let's start with last Thursday. I was able to attend the LeaderCast program at the Lodge of New Russia Township. It was hosted by the Oberlin Business Partnership. Very good good day and afternoon. The seminar's topic was courage, and it's amazing to me when we talk about courage. There are certain things when you self-reflect what personal courage may have been, but on days like today when we honor heroes like Mr. Mall and Sam Felton, I'm always in awe of their courage because I don't know if I'd have the same level of courage. So that tied in well with the LeaderCast event that I attended on Thursday. I did attend the Democratic dinner at Valley of the Eagles, very well attended. They did a nice job again, and they did honor the folks that you mentioned. as well as attending the Pearls of Wisdom. My colleagues here have failed to mention, while Tom Arnold did reflect well, he was hilarious.
Yes,
we
he
were
was.
we were roaring, and a little of it's off color, so I won't say anymore. Let's see, Saturday. Shout out to Joshua Garcia, who orchestrated the first Lorain Chalk Walk over at Victory Park. It was a nice event, well attended, and I don't think it rained till almost just about at noon, just in time for our 911 open house. One thing that wasn't mentioned by Lori or Matt was the fact that we had several retirees who had worked in our system for years, and they came over to see it, as well as just general members of the public. And one of the things that was a common thread was they would go in on the tour, and when they would exit, everybody would be, wow, I could not have even visualized that. And I know I've heard from a lot of folks who have said, gosh, I didn't get over there. So I'm hoping maybe we can do maybe not an open house, but a recap of small tours for those folks who didn't get to see the center, because it takes your breath away when you see it. And again, thank you, echoing the thanks to all of our staff who helped on Saturday. It was brisk, it was cold, but we kept it lively and fun. Saturday evening was the Hearts of Patriots Steak Fry. They did have it in Vermilion, but it was the Lorain County group. And this group is raising funds and resources for victims and families of PTSD, a very real and lifelong chronic type of behavior that families are dealing with, and we can't forget our heroes when they come home. Sunday was the bagel brunch. It was great. The Sherrod Brown Spaghetti was in the afternoon, and Amherst had their annual Halloween parade later that day, and the weather held out, which was great. I do want to mention that, let's see here, keep Lorain County beautiful. Congratulations. We received annual awards from Keep Ohio Beautiful. We won in 2 categories. First, we will get an award for our law enforcement recognition category for Lorain County Commissioner's Environmental Crimes Unit, as well as in the civic and nonprofit award category, Lorain Proud Quick Picks. And I do have to recognize that group was started by our Keep Lorain County Beautiful Advisory Board member, Max Schaefer. I want to thank Brandy Schnell. She's our community outreach coordinator who submitted these applications, and very proud that the committee that I get to serve on has won these 2 annual awards, and they'll be awarded next month. Next, I would like to share with you, County Administrator shared with me an email report that we did get on yesterday's event, coming from Elizabeth Doyle, who's our Lorain County Crime Drug Lab advocate right now. She's been out visiting all of the communities, urging support for Issue 19. And what she said was that the Oberlin Police brought in 2 separate pieces of evidence. Everything was processed in their lab in under an hour of time. Preliminary reports were issued to the police department yesterday evening. They expect more evidence to be coming in today as the vehicles are processed. She did say that this was an emergency that, while we don't like to see it, they were very prepared for. They had drug analyst safety equipment and our Narcan in hand as they readied the lab instruments to run the evidence as fast as possible. And in reference to our first responders, we have to have a safe place to analyze potential evidence. We know we've seen by those who were affected by contact yesterday, and she was very proud of the staff and how they were capable of squelching this emergency. So she's again urging that the crime lab levy on the ballot for November 5th, issue 19th, will ensure that they are always a short drive from anywhere in Lorain County and able to assist and support our first responders. So I want to thank her for that input. November 2nd, 3rd will be the 9th annual Coats for Kids. The drop-off is at the American Legion on Gulf Road. If you can donate a coat, that would be great. And a reminder for everybody, if you haven't early voted, get out and vote. We need your voice and your ballot on Tuesday, so please be sure to include that sometime between now and Tuesday. Early voting is open till 7 o'clock. Weekdays, I walked in and walked out yesterday in probably 5 minutes. Thank you. That concludes my report.
I just want to mention real quick, when you were talking about the crime lab, we learned here, which I didn't know, and I thought I knew a lot about the drugs that are out there, but there's over 100 different types of fentanyl out there. So, I mean, it's important that they know what they're dealing with, and they're not going to know unless we have a crime lab available for our first responders. So
The voting issue yesterday?
issue 19.
Okay, I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, we've been
Keep
saying.
Issue 19,
Yeah,
issue.
issue 19,
19.
19.
Well,
Small
and
price to pay.
It is. It's small. It's a soft ask. It's $2.80
A year.
for every 100,000 in value. So when you see incidents like yesterday, we realize the importance and the urgency of being able to respond and to support our people who are out on the front lines.
Right. Yep. Okay.
Board correspondence.
Well, since you're under the weather today, I'll make the motion instead of having you read the
Thank you.
correspondence. We'll actually waive the reading.
I'll second.
Mr. Lundy,
Aye,
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye.
which we normally do that anyhow, but
We always, yes.
I don't think I've ever
He
done
likes
it.
to
want to
tease
show
you.
you we're thinking of you.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, seeing no other business at this time, I would move that we go into executive session for the reasons stated by the county administrator and by the assistant county prosecutor.
I'll second.
Mr. Lundy,
Aye.
Ms. Kowski.
Aye.
Ms. Sueda.
Aye. And thank you for the cookies.
This has been a broadcast of the recent Lorain County Commissioners' General Meeting. Unless otherwise announced, meetings are held Wednesday morning at 9:30 at the Administration Building, 226 Middle Avenue, 4th floor, downtown Elyria. These are public meetings, and you are invited to attend. Agendas are posted prior to the meeting at www.loraincounty.us. Click on Departments to see the Commissioners page, then click on View Agenda for a printable copy of the agenda.